It was nearly midnight when Bobby Wilkins' chauffeur reported over the telephone to Jimmy Martin and McClintock, who had been keeping anxious vigil in the office all night. "There ain't a sign of him," he said hurriedly. "I waited right where you told me to wait, and if he had been anywhere within a couple of miles, I could have seen him after it got dark. The moon had been shining bright for a long time, and I had a pair of glasses with me. I'm afraid it's all up with him if he hasn't landed someplace else along the coast. It's tough for all of us if anything's gone wrong, ain't it?" The chauffeur was instructed to make another trip to the selected landing place and to stand there until dawn when relief was promised. Jimmy was pale and overwrought when he hung up the telephone receiver and turned to McClintock. "If he had landed any place else," he remarked, "he'd have made every effort to get to a phone. He'd know we'd be worried. Gee, Mac, supposing something's happened to him. If there has, little old Robert B. Remorse will be my side partner for life. He told me he'd be prepared for all emergencies, and he's there with the nerve, but maybe they ran into a squall or something. Why'd I ever think of this stunt? I've got too much imagination, Mac. I've got to teach it to lie down and behave." The two sat up all night, smoking incessantly and discussing the variety of fates which they fancied might have overtaken the adventuresome Bobby Wilkins and his distinguished fellow passenger. Jimmy called up one of the newspaper offices every 15 minutes for news, but there wasn't anything worth mentioning. The dirigible had not been sighted by any ship with which the Navy wireless had been able to get into communication, and the half-dozen destroyers sent out to search for it were reported to be without definite information. The entire country seethed with the story in the morning. The Associated Press had carried 1,500 words into every newspaper office in every city of importance from coast to coast, and the big dailies in Chicago, Philadelphia, and Boston had 3- and 4-column stories from their metropolitan correspondents, liberally illustrated with pictures of the Honorable Betty, who was one of the most photographed women of her time. McClintock, who had no knowledge of Jimmy's promise to keep Bobby Wilkins' name out of print, had blurted it out to a group of reporters in the evening, and the salient facts concerning the modest wearer of 3 war medals were incorporated in all of the accounts. Robert Wilkins Sr. forgot that he was a mere business machine, wiped a few tears out of the corners of his eyes, looked tenderly at a picture of a curly-headed boy he always kept in one of the drawers of his desk, and started east on a special train. The total haul in the New York morning papers was 76 columns of solid reading matter and 38 photographic illustrations. Every angle of the story was covered in great detail, and in addition to the main narrative, there were extended biographical sketches of the Honorable Betty and of Bobby Wilkins. There were cabled stories from London concerning the festive career of the former and containing an expression of deep concern from the British Premier. There were also eulogies of the one-time ace from personages no less important than the American commander-in-chief in France and the generalissimo of the Allied armies. All in all, it was the most spectacular feature story in years and the greatest achievement in the history of American press agentry.